Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Frostadamus here. This is the 5th episode from the Vanilla Class Overview series. Today we're featuring the Warrior and let's jump right into it. Now, Warrior, it's a very versatile class to play. Has 3 viable specs, can be the best tank, probably the best DPSer and quite good at PvP as well. But before you get to those goodies, you have to go through a very painful journey, the leveling experience, and not only that, you'll have to gear up your warrior, which will be quite expensive. But we'll get into that a bit later. Let's start with the leveling experience. Now I leveled this warrior to level 41 in Chronos 2. I leveled all the way to Mortal Strike Arms, which I kind of regretted. I checked the guide on the internet, but I leveled a warrior in arms before, and even in fury. I don't know why I chose this. If I would do it again, I go fury, and I'll tell you why in a second. Even from an early level, cruelty can be a very useful talent. At 5% critical strike can be very useful. But not only as fury, you'll have better ways to... It will be better to tank in fury than in arms. You will have more options with weapons you choose. You can do fury two-hand, you can do dual wield, but that will be only on certain situation. I'm gonna elaborate on that a bit later. Keep in mind that with a warrior you'll die a lot until level 60. Probably you'll die more than other classes, double or 3 times more. So if you're not ready to get that frustration, don't roll this class. Even if you choose to get that frustration, it can be very rewarding at level 60. Now, like I said, with a Fury Warrior, make sure you have in bags a shield, a set of dual wielding, and a two-hander weapon. Because on different situation, for example, if you fight a melee mob like this one, you might want to use a two-handed weapon for that extra parry chance, but if you fight a caster, you might want to use dual wield, so in case you miss with a two-hander, you won't get shadow bolted down to that. Other things, on early level you can choose leveling with a shield and one-hand weapon, a slow one-hand weapon. It will act like a two-hander when you crit with a slow hand weapon. Like for example, the Cruel Barb from Dead Mines, that will work fine with a shield. And the Horde has the Wing Blade, I think, or the Stinging Viper, the mace. It doesn't matter, you'll find a lot of items. One tip on leveling a warrior: make sure you do every dungeon, which will be half of your leveling experience. If you don't want to experience that much frustration, make sure you pick all the quests. Let's say you start with Dead Mines, you go Alliance side, make sure you pick 90% of the quests. Some quests might be hard to pick, and even on those quests you get item rewards, which to warriors means a lot. A hunter can go without items through leveling, even without changing items, but warrior, it's the most gear scaling class. It benefits the most from spells, and until he gets that nice juicy armor and weapons, he will be a gimped class. Make sure you get your rewards from quests, and if you go to the dungeons, there are a lot of items that can help you level faster. When you get out of the dungeons, even if you do it first time, you complete all the quests, you might choose to do it again, especially because you will be higher level, and the experience, if you're the highest level in the party, it's the biggest to you. Let's say you're 22 and your other party members are 18 to 20, you'll get more of that chunk of experience. Each time a new dungeon is opened, pick up the quests and go do it. When you have levels between dungeons where you're not ready to go or they're not available yet, go do quests. Make sure the quests you keep under your level. If you are 40, make 38 level quests. For example, now with this gear, with my warrior in arms, I have almost best in slot gear at this level. I'm not sure, something similar to that. even at this level with this gear, it takes me 20 seconds to kill a mob at my level. It's a whole duration of the rend, and it can be hard. Your early rotation with the warrior will be until level 34. Make sure you stay only on battle stance. It's not worth of taking that 10% extra damage for 3% crit. Your rotation will be rend, heroic strike, and prioritize overpower each time it procs. That's another reason why I say that dual wield might be better if you fight lower level mobs, because you will have more chances to dodge and more overpower procs, even if you don't have the 50% critical strike increase from arms, it will still be good. So after level 34, your rotation will change a bit. You'll have to make macros to dance between battle stance and berserker stance. Your rotation will be as well rend, go to berserker stance. Once you have the rage, use whirlwind. If you get an overpower proc, use it, switch stance and use it, and prioritize heroic strike only if it's everything on cooldown and you have the rage to use it. Maybe double the rage to use it. Some other things, if you level on Fury, you might want to choose after level 40, might want to switch to Mortal Strike, but that's not really an option. I'd stay to Fury until level 60, and even if I plan to PvP at level 60, if I plan to PvP casually, like do a battleground to get that rank or do an Alterac Valley, I would stay in Fury still, because arms scales even more with gear. You need that crit chance, but we'll get into that later. Some tricks when you level: make sure it's not a trick, get a lot of bandages with you and food. You will grow to them faster than heavy class, you'll see why. Make a macro for Blood Rage. If you use it once and you have a good chunk of rage here, make sure you do Blood Rage, which will keep you in combat and will allow you to bandage like this. Oh, sorry. You'll be able to bandage without losing that rage, which will be quite beneficial for your next mob to kill. Another macro: if you press twice on the Blood Rage, it will cancel the debuff, so you'll get out of combat. You'll be able to buff yourself and do whatever you like. I don't know, intercept, or you get my point. I'll post the macro in the description as well with the macros for stance dancing. If you choose to do, like I said, tanking, Fury would be easier to tank in Fury in dungeons, and it will be good to do every dungeon until level 60, because you'll get used to tanking, which at 60, even if you plan to just DPS or to PvP, you will be forced in some situations to tank, since you're the only the only good tank in the game. You'll have to learn your tanking rotation, your abilities. Use a KTM threat meter, and not only that, when you join a dungeon party, make sure you ask for leader, mark your targets, take control over the dungeon, so it will make run it faster and smoother without wipes. You have the ability to keep everyone in control as a warrior. That's why they're even a good class, because best guild leaders are warriors, because they can main tank there. You can take a lot of control in dungeons and so on. Make sure when you tank you use Battle Shout to gain AoE aggro. This will give some threat for each player that receives the buffs. Keep your Sanders up and don't be afraid to use DPS spells to build up that aggro. Check the KTM threat meter, see what kind of rotation works for you. Don't just read a guide on the internet. And at level 60 you'll be quite an experienced tanker. Let's move forward. Macros I covered. Yeah, it will be hard, but once you reach level 60 it will be quite rewarding. Now at level 60 you'll have to choose a spec. You can be a main tank, which will force you basically to be a tank all the time, or you can be a DPS, but if you choose to be a DPS you'll have to tank as well. You'll have to get 2 sets of gear, and probably these 3 sets of gear, since some of the items from PvE without stamina won't work for PvP. Some of the challenges you might face with a warrior will be getting the gear. Not a lot of DPS gear is available. You'll have to build a lot of hit chance in order for to keep your warrior with rage. Without hit chance, you'll mostly get rage starved in Fury, which will be your main PvE spec. Now you'll have to farm a lot of items. For example, the best weapon pre-rate for warrior is Iron Foe. If you get this, you can guarantee a spot on your DPS meter on the top with this weapon, which can also get you killed. You'll need to farm the Hand of Justice. Make sure you choose the Black Hand's bread from the Onyxia quest, because if you choose the tanking trinket, that will get outdated, but this one will be good for a lot of time. Fell Striker with Iron Foe combination, it's an incredible combination. If not, just get the set from Rend in Upper Blackrock Spire and you'll be just fine. As tanking entry gear, you can farm in Skull of the Deadbone set. It will take you a while, but we'll get into gold farming later and I'll tell you more. Now, like I said earlier on the leveling experience, warriors scale a lot with gear, so don't expect to do much once you ding level 60. If you plan to PvP, I suggest remain Fury. I know this sounds weird. If you don't plan to PvP with a pre-made where a Mortal Strike will be a demand and just go Fury. If you plan to do Alterac Valley casually or Warsong Gulch a day, stay Fury, you'll be just fine. And arms will scale much better with gear, so you'll need more critical strike, more attack power, and so on. In raid, your rotation will be something like your talent will be like this: Bloodthirst and get Impale, Deep Wounds, Improved Overpowered. It's a guide, I'll post it in the description as well. Your rotation will be something like by prioritizing spells. I don't know if I know it exactly. I played a lot of warrior in Cataclysm, but it could be quite similar. So you'll keep Bloodthirst up 100% each time it's on cooldown. Just use it. The next spell will be Whirlwind. Make sure you do overpower if your rage it's under, let's say, 30, because if you have 70 rage, it's not good to change the stances. You lose all the rage, you remain with 25. So prioritize Heroic Strike in between. Heroic Strike will be acting like a rage dumper to get rid of rage. You won't have that much rage when you start, because you rely very much on hit chance. For example, right now I have 11 hit chance on this warrior. It's quite geared. I still experience some rage starve because you won't be landing all the white hits. So your number one priority stat will be getting hit as much as possible, even on every item if you can, because that will give you more white damage overall and more chances to build up rage. Once you get that hit gear, your rotation might change a bit. You'll have to just spam spells to dump your rage, and you'll see, it will be quite fun. Other challenges with warrior will be the gear at level 60. Like I said, it will be hard to obtain. In raids, most of the tier sets will be for tanking. So in order to get that very good DPS gear to be competitive in PvE, you'll have to craft Lionheart Helm, which will be best in slot for the whole content. Titanic Leggings, which will be best in slot, I'm not sure if for whole content, but for a long time. Please correct me on that if I'm wrong. For that you'll need a lot of gold, and warriors are not known as the best farmers in game. For now, for example, now in Fury, I can farm quite easily. Level 60 mobs, and you might want to pick some professions. I know it's hard to make money with professions in vanilla, but not really. If you pick a profession as a warrior, make sure that you have the ability to tank, and you have some advantages over other classes. Ones will be that you will be able to find a level 60 dungeon group easily, and if you have, for example, mining with blacksmithing, you can take blacksmithing for getting those recipes like Titanic leggings, Lionheart helm, which you can get a fee from farming them. Make sure your guild will give them to you, or if not, not sure if it's required to buy them. If you have mining blacksmith, you can make groups for Deermall East and do jump runs, so you will be able to mine all the ores there. You'll be able to mine there, and you can do that repeatedly. If you choose to have alchemy, make sure you farm Scholomance, Stratholm, which the dungeons that give the flask recipes. If, for example, if you go to Strat side, make sure you make a rule for the orbs, and if one gets an orb, the next one will pass, and so on. Make sure you reserve as a tank your recipes, and so on. That will might get you some money. You might be required to learn to play a bit the auction house if you want to make money. If not, just farm with the warrior. You can farm Tier's Hand, you can farm level 60 humanoids, and you might get some gold. Other things as tanking, I'm not gonna get very much into tanking. Like I said, you will be learning while you level it. Some entry gear, it's the Deathbone set from Skolo, especially if you farm it with the alchemy recipes and stuff like that, will be quite beneficial. It will offer like 60 plus defense, and you'll have to go with a warrior over 440, I think, defense, which will make you tougher and won't be able to take crushing blows anymore. On tanking, probably you'll do Sunder. It's the most like I said, it's gonna be a class overview. I'm gonna link a link into the description showing you the exact rotation for tanks, and as an opinion, I'm gonna link the link in the description. Anything else to add about the warriors? In PvP, you're probably, if you PvP for higher ranks on in pre-mates, you'll want to go Mortal Strikes. It's mostly because of the healing debuff. It's a good, you'll hit high numbers once you get that gear, and you'll act, for example, an Arati Basin pre-made must have 3 warriors to be successful. When that fight on the blacksmith, a pre-made versus a pre-made starts, who has the most warriors will win the blacksmith. That's almost a rule, because you will be able to go with pocket healers and just nuke whatever you can there, just go through them. Another thing with the PvPing warrior, it won't be that good 1 versus 1. You will be owned by a lot of classes like frost mages, maybe shadow priests, warlocks, and so on. You get the point. If you get quite good gear and a few lucky crits, you might be able to kill them as well, but 80% of the time they'll kill you on equal gear, even with lower gear, shadow priests and so on. But you get the point. You'll be good in pre-mates, in stuff like that. You'll act as you act in raids. You'll go in the front where your battle will be. I think that's all about warriors. For PvP, you'll go arms 20 in fury. For PvE, you'll go 31 with 34 with 17 on arms. For protection, you'll probably go 38 points here, and you'll take 2 points in tactical mastery, which will make you retain 10 rage when you switch stances, get some parry probably, and 1 point in improved heroic strike. You might want to get some crit, and the rest just fill it up here. Make sure you read all the talents before. I think that's all for the warrior. I don't want to keep this video long. Hope this helped you in a way or another. I'm gonna drop some links into the description if you want to go more in depth with this warrior. Like I said, it's a hard to level class. It's hard to gear it up. It's quite expensive to maintain, and to get that gear it's quite hard. You'll have to craft resistance gear. You'll have to have 3 sets available with you in the bag, but all of them will be viable specs, and you'll have a lot of fun playing this class once you get the gear. So keep in mind, if you don't want to experience that early game frustration, and if you don't have like the leading skills to take control into a dungeon or a raid group, this class might not be for you, and so on. Other than that, hope you have a nice day and hope to see you on Nostalrius. Bye bye.